Hi, I'm Catherine Ashton, and I'm the founder of Critical Info. Today, we're going to go through 5 simple things that you can do today to have your legacy sorted. It will allow you to get your life admin in order and provide your loved ones with a real peace of mind. However, you've found your way here, these 5 tasks are something that you can tick off right away without costing you a cent. So, I'm actually joined by Amanda Trotter, who is a grief counsellor and is our learning programs lead, and also Andrea Cosentino, who is our evaluation and grants lead here at Critical Info. You may wonder why on earth I am doing anything to do with end of life planning. Well, I was in my early 40s on my way to work in Melbourne on the Monash Freeway. For those of you who know that, that can be quite the car park. And really, my life changed in an instant. I was hit from behind. Obviously, I was in a car accident. And what happened was then me resulting in spinal surgery and developing chronic pain. I had to leave my job of 13 years at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Victoria, where I was producing major events. And I really didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I knew that whatever I did, it had to align with my values. And my aunt suggested that I actually become a funeral celebrant. And I went to a redesigning death care conference in Melbourne University in October of 2022. I met some amazing people, but realized that for me, it was too close to the grief. So I kind of shelved that idea. However, it wasn't until February the following year that my husband's best mate died, and we had to step in. And his 2 adult children were in living in the United States, and so I started gathering information for them so we could get started on his affairs when they arrived. And the challenges that I had and the gaps that I found in the system is why I have turned my Excel spreadsheet that I used with them into a platform that now helps others. So we are really a social enterprise. So what that means is that we actually reinvest 50% of our profits back into increasing death literacy across Australia. And that really is allowing people to learn about their end of life choices, document them, and share them with loved ones. And we do that in a very systems based approach, providing guides and also step by step processes that you can follow that simplify the process. We are a holistic platform, so we cover everything in relation to end of life planning, death care, or bereavement. And we focus on personal information, financial, legal, medical, and emotional. And as you'll see, we also focus on those that we care for, such as our pets. So, some of the resources that I developed in February of 2023 after our friend died, I realized that there was organizations out there that could support you, but they're all very good at telling their own story. So what I did in February of 2024 was put all of those organizations on the Critical Info website. So you can go through our resource hub and connect with organizations across Australia and industry associations that specialize in those areas of your requirements. So end of life planning, death care, or bereavement. Uh, we also found that when I was speaking to people about the work that I was doing, is that there were many people who actually had their own lived experience. And so, what I did at the same time is start a podcast called Don't Be Caught Dead, which is available on all platforms where you listen to podcasts. and that allows you to listen to those with lived experience or learn from people with who are experts within the industry. I've had the privilege of speaking to everyone from Rosie Batty through to the Coffin Confessor, who has released two books about how he has created a career out of making sure people's wishes are followed after they die. We've been very fortunate enough to have support from significant organisations within the industry. As you can see, here are some of the early supporters of Critical Info, us as a social enterprise, and also the platform and resources that we make available to people. So, you're here to find out what you can do to get yourself in order and how you can do that without costing you a cent. So, the first thing that we suggest is checking your organ donor registration if that's something that you'd like to do. For me, when I registered as an organ donor, it was still part of the driver's license registration process in Victoria. However, that has now changed, and the joy of each state of Australia is our laws are different in each particular state. So, here is a national register where you can go online, check to see what your status is as an organ donor, or register to become a donor if that's something that you choose to do. The next thing is really checking our documents. So, a lot of us know that it's important to have a will or a power of attorney or an advance care directive, but for some reason, not many of us actually go through the process of making sure we have those documents in place. However, I can tell you from my personal experience in relation to having to support family members through the process of when a loved one has died, these documents are vitally important to have in place. These are the documents that will actually speak for you, protect your rights, and actually make sure your wishes are followed when you can no longer speak for yourself. So, life is complex, and so I would always suggest that when you're looking at drafting up these documents, you seek the expert advice in those particular fields. Uh, so, obviously, you'd be looking at a legal expert for wills and power of attorney. And I'd also suggest speaking to a financial advisor as well if you have significant assets in which to consider, or even blended families in relation to your will and power of attorney is very, very important to seek legal advice in relation to that. Um, a lot of people think that legal advice is expensive. For me, on the Mornington Peninsula, we have a community legal centre that offers this service completely free. And we actually refer people to the Law Institute of Victoria in Victoria. However, there's law institutes in every state of Australia which you can actually pop in your postcode and find someone in your local area who is part of that industry association and who can support you through this process. Uh, we also suggest that at an advanced care directive, a lot of people think of that as it's really a document that is in relation to your medical wishes, should you become unconscious or needing medical care, or if you are going down the path of uh, having a life limiting illness diagnosed. But for me, and someone who has actually been in a car accident on my way to work, completely unexpected, it is just as important to have these documents in place. So when I had my car accident, my husband knew exactly what my wishes were in relation to my medical care because we had completed one of these. So it can happen at any point in time. So I would suggest that you have a chat to your local GP and they can take you through the process. The other organisations, such as the Health Network in your local area, sometimes run free workshops, and Advanced Care Planning Australia are also an organisation that can support you in any state of Australia and direct you to the support services you require. So, as you know, my background is in events, so I am by no means a lawyer or financial advisor. However, I have sat on panels with lawyers and interviewed both lawyers and financial advisors. And something that always comes as a surprise to people when I speak on these panels is that superannuation and insurance policies do not form part of your estate when you die. Each superannuation policy and insurance policy provider has their own requirements. So, the one thing that I would suggest is that when we do these documents and we have them in place, is that they're not something that is static. They are something that need to reflect your life. So when your life changes, you need to update them. So for me, with insurance policies, I should have actually paid more attention and seen that my income protection insurance policy probably should have paid me a little bit more than what it currently was. And that would have helped me out a little bit better after I had my car accident. So it is important. I suggest to people that when you change the batteries in your smoke alarms, that is the time of year that you review each of these documents, and then you know whether they're up to date or whether they actually need to be updated to reflect your personal circumstances. Now, what is important, just as important as those important documents, is the fact that you actually choose two people that you trust. So, these are people that you are comfortable to have in your home, to provide them with a key to your house. And also to let them know where your important documents are. When our friend died, we knew that he had a will. Well, actually, no, we found that out, to be honest. So if we had known in hindsight that he had a will and we knew where to look for it, it would have saved us at least 2 days searching. So the important thing is that you have these documents in place, but then you actually speak to two people who you trust. Let them know that you've appointed them as your key emergency contacts. Keep their details on your phone. Pop them on your fridge. Make sure your GP knows who your emergency contacts are. Make sure your lawyers, your financial advisors know who those people are, so they can all be contacted in an emergency. And, as I said, let them know where those important documents are kept, because something that might come as a surprise to you when we were developing the platform or the critical info platform, we made a conscious decision not to actually upload personal documents onto the platform, because, as someone who has had to action and close accounts when someone has died, you need that information to be in a filing cabinet, in someone's home, in a safe location. We recommend that people pop their information in a fireproof, lockable, flood-proof box, and pop it somewhere where it is safe, and let people know about it, because for us, that was one of the most challenging things. And then what you'll find in the process is that you actually need to provide certified copies to each of those suppliers in relation to the paperwork that they need when a loved one does die. And so that is a hassle if it's kept online. So that's why we have chosen to make sure and encourage people to collate their information and put it in their home safely. Now, one of the people or one of the things that we don't really consider when we're doing a end of life plan is our pets. So when we were developing the platform, it was my developer that was quite shocked to realize that was the only person in his family who knew what the medication was that their rabbits took. So he went home that night and wrote that down, and has shared that with his family. So it's really important to document somewhere that information that you have inside your head that no one else knows, because that information becomes vital if we haven't shared it and we can no longer speak for ourselves. So, as far as us, we now actually have two files that we dedicate to our cat and one to our dog. So everyone knows that that's where all their information is kept, together with their vet details and their pet insurance. So really important to collate all that information. One of the things that people talk to me about quite a bit is their concerns for having these conversations with your loved ones. And something that I can tell you is that from my experience, when Roland's children came over from the States, they didn't know whether he wanted to be buried or whether he wanted to be cremated. And for them to be in a situation to make that decision, that was very challenging for them. And had they had a conversation with their father before he died, that would have relieved the burden of their decision making process at that point in time. And when someone dies, for those of you who have had that experience, you are grieving. And it's really challenging to make these decisions within a very short period of time. So, the cost that it is in the long run, if we don't have these conversations, is very significant. So, I do encourage you to actually have a conversation with your loved ones. Feel free to use this webinar as a prompt to say, look, I listened to a webinar today, and this woman was talking about end of life planning, and what is important to me is, I also say to people that if you're really uncomfortable, just for those of us who have children, we have all had to have the conversation about sex. So, just liken it to that. Jump in the car, drive somewhere, they can't get out, have a conversation and bring up the topic that's awkward, and talk through it. And then once you get to your destination, you can both get out of the car and pretend it never happened. But you know what? The one day that that person needs to make decisions on your behalf, they will thank you for the fact that you actually had that hard conversation with them at that point in time. For us in our family, we have had those conversations. And I tell you, it is very reassuring when you know what your wishes are of your loved ones, because it can make a massive difference. So I just thought I'd talk you through the platform and the other resources that are available to you from Critical Info. So this is actually the Excel spreadsheet that I turned into a system where people can now go through a very simple process that is 10 minutes a day for 15 days, and it allows you to record your information in audio, video, or text. So, as I mentioned earlier, we don't encourage people to upload their information, but it's really important to record where that information is kept. So, simple things such as the questions that we ask are, where do you actually document all of your events and upcoming appointments? So you can actually say, I make a note of it in my Outlook calendar, I have it on my iPhone, or I write it in my diary. Because the process that we take you through is actually putting a guide to the jigsaw puzzle of your life. So it's basically providing people with a roadmap of where to look for the information and how they can find it, because that was the key or the missing piece of the puzzle that we had when our friend died, is that we didn't have a roadmap to follow, and that was really, really challenging. So, we mentioned earlier the fact that we're a holistic platform, and what that means is that we cover every part of your life. So, whether that be talking about the first nickname you had as a child, or the first pet you had, or even the first job that you did for pocket money. We cover all of these aspects, both in a storytelling, reminiscence manner, but also in a very pragmatic manner as well as where is your documents, what is the name of your GP, who is your financial advisor, but then also focusing on your digital life and also your end of life ceremonies and secrets. So we've actually made it completely flexible, so you can go through the process either self-paced or follow the daily questionnaires we provide. It has an accessibility integration widget. So what that means is if you are neurodiverse or you have vision impairment, you can actually adjust the platform requirements to make it easier for you. We also have 24/7 technical support. And what happens at the end of the 15 days is that you actually get a to do list of the documents we suggest that you still have in place to protect your rights and to make sure your wishes are documented. And then we provide you with step by step guides on how to actually have those important documents completed. And also, you receive ongoing support with the critical info community to webinars, exclusive events, those sorts of occasions. So, for those of you who want to talk through the security and access, we have chosen a Australian-based developer whose servers are all in Australia. They're actually in Victoria. They are an ISO accredited company, which means that they have standards and compliance which they have to follow. So it means that there's some level of quality assurance in the work that we're provided, and then what we can also in turn provide you. We've touched on the fact that we don't store any sensitive documents, but we encourage you to keep them in your home. And the platform is a roadmap, so people can actually navigate their way to where those important documents are. Or connect with those particular people who are your key contacts and your providers. We also have Stripe as our payment processor. So that's a world secure payment system. We have and encourage two-factor authentication. We At the end of the day of the 15 days, we actually get you to nominate two key contacts. They actually can join the platform completely free to accept their invitation from you, and you actually can then provide them with access when you choose. So that can be immediately, when you're hospitalized, or when you die. So nothing is actually released without your prior approval, and you control what is shared with them and when. Uh, we've also built in the fact that you can only have one window open at a time, so it automatically logs you out of a previous session, which is just a security measure. And also the fact that, as I've mentioned, that it's actually a system designed to support you in planning and not actually store your private documents, but empower your key contacts to act for you and find the information that they need. So I'll now hand over to Danielle Jacobs, who is a psychologist and also a user of the Critical Info platform, and she can tell you about how her experience has been using the platform.
Hi, my name's Danielle Jacobs. I'm a senior psychologist, speaker, board member of Dying with Dignity Victoria, and I'm also the daughter of two much-loved busy parents in their new 80s. Using the Critical Info platform was a deeply impactful and meaningful experience for me and my parents. For over 20 years, I've tried and failed to successfully engage my parents to capture their stories and organise their important information. The task had always been put off. They said, let's do it another time, or they'd make humorous, sweeping general statements like, I don't care what happens, I won't be here, do what you want. Having the Critical Info platform made it simpler for me and my parents to tackle, and the clear sections and bite-sized tasks allowed them to feel like they were making progress really quickly. Its clear structure, intuitive design, and gentle prompts helped us uncover long forgotten memories and locate documents and important information that we didn't even realize was missing. 10 minutes into the exercise, as a result of answering the prompts, it was very clear that they did care, they did have opinions, and there was important information that they needed to pass on. It was also clear that they didn't want me to be in any more distress in an already emotionally charged time than was absolutely necessary. It was clear to them that they had more information than they thought that they needed to pass on so that I could support them and be focused on them in really important times in their lives. What stood out delightfully with the platform was the storytelling functionality, especially the voice recording tool, helping my parents share answers and reflections in their own words was really powerful. What I found so lovely is that it became not just about preserving facts, although that was really important. It became capturing essence and emotion, and it triggered memories and reflections in them as we went through. In fact, my dad enjoyed it so much that he has actually suggested we do a follow-up dinner party where we can ask more questions of both my mum and dad and voice record their answers for the wider family, in particular for my brother and his children. So this platform helped me and my parents accomplish something that was really important for each of us for different reasons. For both me and my parents, there is an immediate sense of comfort knowing that this information has finally been comprehensively captured, safely recorded, and that loved ones down the track can share this information and access it. And I'm not only able as a key contact to ensure that their wishes are executed, but importantly, I'm able now to know that I can be fully present with them and support them in stressful times rather than potentially being distracted by trying to guess their wants and wishes or dig for essential information and documents at a really emotional time. Critical information is easy to use, pragmatic, and makes a task that can feel overwhelming feel really possible and even joyful. I wholeheartedly recommend this platform to anyone who wants to honour their loved ones' lives and deaths and make the future as easy as possible for the people who matter the most.
Thank you, Danielle, for sharing that. That was fantastic. Another resource that we have developed through focus groups whilst we were developing the platform. So, the platform was developed, I think, through 6 surveys that we did right from the start, and then also 3 focus groups. So, it is something that we're constantly updating and improving. And out of one of these focus groups, a girlfriend said to me, I wouldn't know what to do if a loved one died tomorrow. So, this is the guide that I developed using the same principle I did for the website, whereby I looked at all of the organisations that you need to contact within certain periods after a loved one dies. And so, what we've done is we've actually broken that down to pre-death arrangements. So a lot of those documents that we talked about previously about getting in place, such as your will, power of attorney, and advance care directive. And then we actually look at what needs to happen in the first 24 hours after someone dies. Who do you need to contact? Then we need to focus on funeral arrangements and then move into the more lengthy process of estate administration. So, this is something that we have developed in a chronological order, and we've provided a checklist for you as you go through it. Because for someone who has been through that process on more than one occasion, it can be really overwhelming with the list of tasks that you can do. I think that they estimate that there's roughly 200 hours of administration that you have to go through when a loved one dies. And so, again, this provides you with a clear, precise way of stepping through those tasks and either completing them yourself in the time period required, or actually even delegating them out to someone else to support you as well. But at least this gives you an idea of what you need to do, what you feel comfortable doing yourself, and then what you can either delegate to someone else or get an expert to actually assist you with. So, as a bit of a thank you for listening to the webinar today, we are providing a discount for you on the resources that we've showcased. So, for the guide, you can buy that online at criticalinfo.com.au, and we have a shop where you can purchase the guide and receive a 10% discount using the GIFT 2025 code. We also have a special discount for people who are signing up to the Critical Info platform, and that allows you to receive 50% discount on off your first year of membership using the code launch. We also run Critical Info platform workshops, which are a 3-day workshop for ideally suited for those people who are wanting to complete the platform, not just for themselves, but perhaps their parents, and they need additional support, or whether it's an older generation who would like some support on a group basis with a trainer. And as I mentioned Amanda earlier, Amanda is a qualified counsellor, and she is the one responsible for developing and running these particular workshops. So just check out our events page on the Resource Hub on the Critical Info website, and you can see what's available. If there's nothing available, please send us an email and let us know where you're located, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about what our options are and what's coming up, because we're putting on new workshops all the time. Also, I encourage you to connect with me directly. This takes you through to my link tree. So there's many ways in which you can follow on either social media. But however, please feel free to also reach out if there's anything that you need, anything that you find that is of concern to you when you're using any of these platforms. As I say, that we're really an organisation and social enterprise that ensures that we're improving death literacy across Australia for all people. So I'm aware we've covered a lot today, and I hope you're walking away with ideas that you can put into action straight away. But remember, you don't have to do it alone. The Critical Info platform is here to guide you step by step, so you can feel confident that the important things are organised. I'd love for you to sign up and start using it today if that's something you want to do. Or if you're supporting someone who's grieving, consider giving them something more meaningful than flowers. Our guide, My Loved One Died, What Do I Do Now, is a practical gift that truly helps when it matters most. So let's stay connected. Follow us on socials, and we can actually share regular tips and real conversations about end of life planning and planning ahead through our podcast. And finally, if you're ready to go deeper, join us at one of our workshops. Again, go to our events section on our website. They're safe, supportive spaces to learn and plan and share together. So please take one of these steps today, because planning ahead isn't just about documents, it's about care, love, and peace of mind for you and your family. Thank you.